Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another morning coffee talks. What's today? Wednesday. Maybe listen, these videos probably be shot 3, 4 in the morning. Trust me. But I release them a little bit later, so bear with me sometimes. Um, Man, I had a thought yesterday, and I'm glad I had it because it was a reminder. Because what I'm attempting to do next is I need to start diving in a little deeper on what are some of the real pain points when it comes to men in marriage, right? And I was doing a little research because, like I said, I had a thought yesterday of a guy I used to work with, and I remember, man, he was telling me how, he was feeling like he was, and this guy wasn't married yet, but he still felt like the relationship that he was in, he felt like, he was being treated like not like the boyfriend or the husband, but like a son. And he was kind of breaking it down. And I was like, man, I can see why, a lot of men in relationships or a lot of men in marriages get treated like, like a child in a marriage. And at some point, we got to keep it real. You know, um, I think a lot of them feel like they're being managed more than respected, right? So if your wife or your girlfriend talks to you like um she's your supervisor, and I think this if she speaks to you like she's your supervisor, I think this message is for you, right? Um, we don't get in as men, we don't get in relationships or marriages to be mothered. Um, you know, we got it in marriages to be honored, right? And I think I want to talk about some of the reasons why this kind of occurs, that men start to be treated like children instead of like partners, right? And if you are in that situation, hopefully this can help you kind of start to turn the tide back. And I think it starts with like it's kind of small and silent, right? It's never like it never starts off as like full blown disrespect. It just starts really small. Things like, hey, did you take the trash out? Right? Why didn't you put the toilet seat down? Don't forget to do this, don't forget to do that. And at first, it seemed like it could be just communication, but over time, the tone starts to shift, and then it feels like it gets away from communication, and it feels like correction, right? And you start to see um, she's kind of managing everything, and you've become just another task on her list to manage. And guess what? She might not even know she's doing it. But at that point, it's almost like the respect is gone, right? And so it's like it's almost like, why does this happen? And I would say to the root, there could be a few things at play, right? It could be a few things. One of the things could be it could have started from childhood, like unhood childhood roles. A lot of women, man, believe it or not, they're raised in environments where they have to take charge early, right? And I think that marriage kind of leads and carries over into their marriage. And again, this could be a situation where she was, managing her other siblings, even sometimes managing her household when the parents was working or something like that. And I ain't saying she was paying bills, but like having to like, make sure stuff was done. And again, that stuff just kind of carry over. Shoot, it could be a lack of trust in you, right? It could have been that we dropped the ball too many times, and she could step in, to control the things that we want or you want. And this is something that I teetered into, right, a little bit. And I've told y'all my story, especially when I was overweight. I became very passive. I became very docile and was just lazy, man. Was like, I don't know what the heck, but with that being said, the leadership is missing. When a man is very indecisive, when he's passive or checked out, listen, a woman's not gonna feel safe, right? And so when she doesn't feel safe, she's gonna fill in the void. And I think it's just a clear sign that when a man stops leading, the woman starts managing. And again, it's not out of dominance, it's out of necessity. That's just what it is. And again, we contribute into that, and sometimes without even realizing it. And I think that us as men, we often don't see how when we're silent, that plays a role, right? It's like it's like we ignore disrespect for peace, right? You wait for your. A lot of us do this, man. We wait for them to make every decision. You know, a lot of us shrug off responsibility and let them kind of quote unquote handle it. But I think what I've started to realize is being passive becomes permission, right? So if you being passive on things, it's giving her permission to lead you. That's just what it is. And eventually, she's gonna treat you like somebody that needs to be handled and not led. And this is where it starts to get deep, right? Because there's an emotional cost that comes with that, right? But it's almost like when that dynamic changes, it's subtle, but it's deadly, right? Because with that emotional cost, you feel disrespected. She feels overwhelmed. The intimacy fades. The resentment builds. And the connectment starts to fade. And sometimes even rot, man. It could get really there. And at that point, she doesn't feel like she has her man beside her. And also you start to feel like, you're not being treated as one. So when you're in that mindset, when you're in that position, how do you kind of reclaim your role as the husband, as the partner, right? Because again, I've said it in this video, it's just too many men have become passive. And many of us, we go silent when we should speak up, right? We choose comfort over clarity. But the thing about it is silence doesn't create peace. It creates distance because there's no communication, right? And so you have to flip the dynamic, man. And you have to take your role back. I would even say with authority, but not aggression, right? With authority, but not aggression. And so to rebuild that, it has to come through ownership, man. You have to rebuild that trust through ownership. Stop waiting to be asked. And again, this was honestly, like I said, this was one of my failures in it. But obviously I fixed it. But just, one of my things wasn't the trash. You know what I mean? My wife, she had a situation where her car, where the oil was like being weird in the car. And so I knew like when she drive a certain, distance or whatever, we need to check the oil. And it was like, she would be getting ready to go to work, and why didn't I check the oil? You know what I'm saying? It was like little things like that she would have to remind me of. And she had to keep asking me. And that was like, bro, just either. And so what I end up doing is to fix the problem, I put it in my calendar. Like, so I just check it on certain days, like, okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, stuff like that, right? Every other day I just check it. Same with her gas. I stop allowing my wife to pump her gas. Every once in a while she sneak off and do it. For whatever reason. Maybe she closer and she want her points from Kroger or something like that. And she not waiting on me to use the points because they may expire. But 9 times out of 10, I'm going to pump her gas, right? I'm going to just take the car and do it. But the point is, handle business, man. Fix what's broken. Pay attention to the details. Show her that you're dependable, not occasionally, but daily, right? And I think this is starting to build the pathway back to not being treated like a child. Another thing, don't argue. Lead with action, man. Listen, I think the point is, a lot of us they love to get in debate with women, but they don't want to debate. They want results. You know what I'm saying? Start talking less and execute more. Move like a man who means what he say. Just move like a man who's in motion, who's restoring order into their household, to their kingdom. Reset the tone with boundaries. If she speaks to you like a child, don't accept it. Be direct, calm, and firm. Say things like, hey man, that tone doesn't work for me. That tone doesn't work for me. We're not doing the parent-child dynamic here. I'm your husband, not your son. Let's talk like partners. You're not begging for respect. You're requiring it. You put that boundary there. You know what I mean? Excuse me. Excuse me. Reinforce the vision. A man without a vision feels replaceable. Remind her by doing things with action why she trusted you in the first place. Right? Speak to the mission. If you created a clear vision and mission, but if you have, again, continue to lead that. Get back to the mission. Get back to the pathway. Lead the household. Create a sense of direction where not only where you're going, but where the family's being moved to. You can't lead your woman anywhere if you don't know where you're going. That's just what it is, man. And that's always what it's going to be. If you don't have a clear pathway to where you're going and where you're leading the family, she won't follow. And let me say this for the men and for the man who listening in the back. Marriage isn't about power, man. It's about partnership. It's about leading in direction, right? Because it takes two to tango. You didn't get in it just to have you might, if you wanted just to get somebody just to be in a marriage with you where you can just tell them everything to do, what's the point? You can do that by yourself. You can hire a maid if you like, well, I want you to cook and clean. Go hire somebody to meal prep. You know what I'm saying? It's gotta be the yin and the yang. But yes, you're the leader, and so you're gonna have the direction and the clarity and the vision on where you want to take this relationship. But if you've been playing it passive, again, don't be surprised when she takes the lead. Right? It's time, man. It's time to reclaim y'all role. But again, not through control, but through consistency and action. Listen, you're not her son. You're her man. And so it's just time to lead like it, man. So that's my message for this morning. Drop a comment below. Subscribe to the Husband Code. If it's your first time, if you've been watching for a while, subscribe. And also, if you got any value from this video, hit the like button. Also, if you want to continue to see videos like this every single day or often, right, hit that notification bell. And until next time, I appreciate y'all. Much love. Peace.